the Club Car Precedent Limo. This is going to be 1, 2, 3 sets of seats plus the rear. So it's like a straight up 2, 4, 6, 8-seater, 14-foot bumper to bumper. Currently it's got a 4-inch all sports lift on it, which has been all right, except that it's really flattened out. Like the front's very soft. So I've been working on a solution trying to make it a bit stiffer with a bit more travel up front. And that's been a project, but it's been by using this is what I was trying, but that's a little bit too long. It's 10 1/4. So it may be that this winds up in the rear, but I'll get to that in a moment. Now this is an attempt at doing a 4-link kit. A few people have been following along. This may wind up being a guide that instructs how not to do it. But these are the supplies I have chosen by making a list from what some others have done in the community and shared along the way. But I've not seen it done quite like I'm going to do it. And in my head, this is a simple way. I have 80% of it planned out. So let's see what we've got here. These are parts from Speedway Motors. This is just about everything except for the spacers, misalignment spacers. Spent another $45, $50 on those on Amazon. So this is a total of $274. So we've got DOM tubing that is 1-inch OD, outer diameter. Inner diameter is 0.065. I also had to chase these down. They were not at Speedway, or Speedway just did not have any clarity on about their OD versus ID, and I called them and I didn't get clear answers, so I just found specifically ones that I knew would work from somewhere else. So this is the setup for a 4-link using these Heim joints is just like that. This is a threaded bung that slides in and gets welded. Then you're able to adjust this side, just like a tie rod in a car if you're familiar. But basically this thing turns right, it goes in, then you lock it down with this. This one turns left to thread in, so you get a range of adjustment on each side for fine tuning. Then you get to lock them with the nuts. So you have a left hand assembly back here, right hand assembly on one side, and we're going to do this 4 times. So in this case, these are from Speedway. These are 2-foot. They will be cut down to the length that we need and then welded. And then I also have 2 4-foot lengths in this box. Those are going to be cut down closer to 3 feet. So the longer ones are going to go underneath and they're going to attach to the axle. Now that's going to happen with these tabs, and the tabs are going to get mounted underneath here, and basically where this all is, it's going to go like this just over here, and so I'm going to have to grind that a little bit to get it to line up, and it's going to get mounted. It's going to drop it a bit, and then we will have one set of this, the longer one, running something parallel-ish, maybe a little bit at that angle versus parallel, and hopefully around the 32 inch range, which puts it somewhere in this vicinity. And I'm going to figure out how to attach it, and it's going to be just below this, as close as I can. And then at a downward sweep, that allows for a bit of travel. Now I basically got no travel with this setup as it is. These shorter ones, the 2-footers, they're going to be cut down somewhere in that vicinity, maybe 22 inches. They're going to wind up getting the chassis tab. They're going to go more towards the outside, something like this, but angled in a bit because they are going to get attached in a V pattern. So one here, and they're going to be somewhere right up in here, actually pretty close. A little bit underneath, but not too far, I think. And that is going to be subject to change. But this is The idea is that it's going to allow this to cycle, to travel up and down. Now, I have, when set up in the position that I'm putting them in, which is going to be about the equivalent of a 4-inch lift, I'm going to have 10 inches from the top of here to here. This means something like this, or I'm going to come off of this somehow and attach a shock, which might wind up being a longer one, from somewhere, something like this. Now, ideally, that will give me enough travel and give me a bit of room. It might not work at all. I might need a longer shock, which means I may need to have to do some modification, which means either going up here if I have the room, or perhaps going even lower somehow with some bottom support. Don't have that figured out either, but I think those things are going to be separate from the actual assembly for the link rods themselves. So for this setup, just going through quantities, which you can pause and look at the receipt I showed earlier. We've got 4 rods, 2 of these short ones, 2 of the longer ones. That's the setup I came up with, since they're obviously not going to be all the same length. You may find one length of this in 12 feet or whatever you need locally, and then you can just cut it to length. So for each of the 4, we're going to have 4 of these Heim joints, which are going to be the standard Heim 5/8 left-hand male. So 4 of those. You're going to have the nuts, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the jam nuts. Okay, now over here it's the same thing, except we're looking at the right-hand standard Heim 5/8 right-hand male. Then we've got 4 each of the right-hand bungs, which the right hand screws into, and 4 each of the left-hand bungs, which the left-hand items thread into. These I got from another place, which I'll have to throw up in a screenshot or something to make it simple for you guys. And then we have these, which I just snagged just in case I decided to use those back here, but I'm not sure that's going to allow the articulation needed. But I think they were $10 each, and I figured, why not give them a go? Then we have the chassis tabs, 2 1/4 by 1/2 inch. That's a 1/2 inch eye, and maybe I have to open up that eye, or I actually believe that these have a 1/2 inch eye, and I believe the spacers that I got for these, the misalignment spacers, actually sleeve into there and allow a 1/2 inch bolt to be used, if I'm correct, but I'll know more about that later. Either way, bolts are going to have to go into there to connect them. So that's what I've got working with. I believe it's going to wind up putting both of the lower and upper links at close to parallel. That's the aim. So if you've got any advice, any help, now would be a great time to give it to me, so I can perhaps make fewer mistakes along the way, not have to weld and grind. I've never done anything like this. I'm just referencing others who have done it and doing my best to share the story so we can get this better in the future. All right, thanks guys.